Hey everyone, this is Nitro. In this video, I am going to be talking about the remaining heroes that I did not cover in the first two videos. So, the first video was about the PvE heroes, the second video was about my Apex 15 box. So this video will cover basically the backup heroes for my Apex 15 box, and maybe mention a brief mention of some of the upcoming heroes that I would want to build. Right? So, in my backup box, you see these following 6 heroes, most of which are assassins or help promote the assassin style play. First off is Yulia. My Yulia does not have perfect gear whatsoever. Right? She really should have a gift of eternal life. I currently have a blue moon on her. And secondly, she is actually generally converted to infantry class at this point to maximize her survivability and attack and so on and so forth. So there is work to be done on my Yulia if I'm to bring her back into my Apex box. Right? Infantry class in large part because there are a lot of Lancer tanks in the game now, like in particular Landius. Whoops, don't want to say that. In particular, Landius is usually converted to Lancer now, so infantry Yulia would really benefit in having the ability to one-shot her. Or one-shot him, rather. So some adjustments to be made to make full use of my Yulia. Right? Need a gift of eternal life for her in order for her to be usable and viable. And I'm probably going to adjust her gear set, which is currently less about survivability and hit point increases and more about, I don't know, this immunity to fixed damage and whatnot. Right? Until I get a gift of eternal life though, she is not going to be reused. Right? I currently only have 2, one on Deedlit, one on Hobo. And so I'm going to need a third if I want to use my Yulia. So she's kind of in a state where I don't really use her except for maybe occasionally PvE content. That's pretty much it. The next backup character is Alustriel. So Alustriel has access to her 3C now, which can turn enemy buffs into random debuffs. And for every one that was converted, you get a 20% damage bonus. So it makes her a much better assassin than she used to be. And yeah, I mean, right now, I currently have her set up roundabout with the Jade Storm 3C with Emerald Crusher. And I don't think there's much else that needs to be said. You know, she has the Elder's Bow, she has the Last Rites, she has her Wind Plum, and finally she currently has a Slayer's Emblem, which could probably be replaced. But this is her current gear set. You know, ideally I would replace the Slayer's Emblem with something that does fixed damage before combat, like a Twilight Star. That way she can break Last Rites, right? But at the same time, running the Slayer's Emblem, I believe she can just cut right through a Last Rites anyways, especially if she's using like Jade Storm or Emerald Crusher, both of which do additional damage to flyers. So in that sense, the Twilight Star is not exactly a required item for her. It's more if you want her to, let's say, try to assassinate a Mage Liana, break the Shrine Maiden fixed damage immunity, and then kill. Something like that. But she is very, very usable for me right now. In fact, I can very well swap out a character and put her in. I just have not made that adjustment yet. This is the kind of adjustment I would make in Season 6 maybe. Because in Season 6 what we've seen is people play 2 different boxes instead of just one. They'll play maybe an AoE team round 1 and then maybe an assassin team round 2. So that it changes things up. And playing like that, you know, having some assassins as well as my AoE attackers offers me that versatility to adjust and so on. Imelda is here for basically providing the Queen's Whip buff, right? Increasing allies' mobility by 2, increasing their stats to make sure that character can one-shot the enemy. Clock's enchant, and what I really should be doing is replacing this Star Earring with a Juggler plushie or what is it called? Teddy Bear. Right? That way it will make the Queen's Whip last for 3 turns better than just 2. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, she can bring mass attack to if you're lacking like a faction buff, for example. So she has various utility as a support hero. That pretty much sums it up. That's for if I want to switch to like an assault AoE box. And going on with that, you know, there would be Alustriel for assassination, there would be Hiei for assassination. Right? My Hiei is pretty much fully built up. The only thing he's lacking right now is he has a Bloody Melody instead of the Extreme Magic Bow, and that will change once my Zerda gets her Crystal Beasting. So right now, my Zerda has the Extreme Magic Bow. That is actually why my Hiei is in the reserve list right now, because he does not. Because I only have one Extreme Magic Bow. Unfortunately, this was a major limitation for me that I only got one Extreme Magic Bow. Like I could not use a lot of the assassins that I wanted. Like that's why I never built Joshua, for example, because I never got an Extreme Magic Bow. This Extreme Magic Bow came actually in the past year. So the first year I was playing, I never got an Extreme Magic Bow. And so even now I only have one, and it's currently on Zerda, and it'll go to Hiei, and then Zerda will get the Crystal Beast thing, assuming I get one. When that equipment banner comes up. Fingers crossed there. So Hiei is 6 stars, he is ready for use. As soon as he gets the Extreme Magic Bow, I have multiple assassins that I can swap into my team for an assassination-oriented box as opposed to an AoE box that I'm currently running. The last 2 heroes that I have here are Shelfaniel and Akaya. Shelfaniel is basically fully built. The reason I would swap her in was the combination of her faction buff and her AoE skills. And it's worth mentioning that she's going to get a better AoE. She's going to get her 3C, which is like an improved Heaven Sanction. So that will make her more usable potentially, right? She can run both Shrine Maidens and Summon Sky Archers. So it's going to be interesting for her. I currently have the Meditation Ring on her, which gives her immunity to fixed damage, but I might want that immunity to silencing instead. So wait and see on that one. It's a nice, Meditation Rings are always nice, but getting silenced means you can't use your skills, which is a huge detriment. We'll see on that. Maybe maybe she wants to use a Swordsmith medal as well. I don't know, right? Because you do AoE damage before you, and then that would offer both immunity to fixed damage and immunity to silencing. But good luck getting quite that many Swordsmith medals. One thing I'm also considering is whether I should change away from using the magic enchants. But we'll worry about it when I maybe get the Swordsmith medal. Like, good luck with that. There's so many heroes that would like to have Swordsmith medals if possible. But yes, that is my Shelfaniel in a nutshell. And Akaya is currently 5 stars, so not quite 6 stars yet. My Akaya is currently in the Mage class rather than in the Cavalry class. And in terms of skill set, currently I have her equipped with the Blood of the Sheikah, Beastal Outbreak, and then Wild Power. So the combination of this is more like you can, on turn 1, activate Blood of the Sheikah, spawn the Wolf Summon, then use the Wolf Summon to activate Wild Power to buff everyone's mobility by 2 and increase their attacking int by 30%. And in the following turn, you're allowed to use Beastal Outbreak. So it's kind of like a rapid rush combination, right? If you run this kind of skill set, which does remove your ability to, let's say, one-shot enemies with Dark Reaper or with Javelin, but it does offer its own advantages, right? Being able to mobility buff everyone right away, and then after that, you can use and act again on an ally with the respawned wolf. So, interesting setup there for Akka. And it might be I will change this up a little. You know, I have not really experimented with her, but I really do want to, especially once she gets to 6 stars. Right? Even Death Howl, I feel like has potential utility because of the fact that she can, spawn multiple wolves like this. The fact that her equipment, her exclusive gear, spawns 1 wolf at the end of the first turn, and then then the fact that when a unit on the battlefield dies, which includes those wolves, it can spawn a brand new wolf. Right? It makes her much more usable in terms of using her skills than before. So, looking forward to testing out my Akaya as soon as she hits 6 stars. And these are the 6 heroes that are currently pretty close to ready for use. A few other heroes that I may see used, I previously mentioned, is like, let's say, Bernhardt. Bernhardt is going to get his 3C in a few months, I think like 5 or 6 months away from now. And that 3C is basically an improved faction buff. A massively improved faction buff. So my Bernhardt is actually at 5 stars, 52 out of 150 shards. So I need to grind 98 shards of him to raise him up to 6 stars. And that gives me yet another character as an option for use. And other than Bernhardt, who else is there? Well, there is Florentia, who is currently in the process of being built up and upgraded. This gear set is kind of a mess, in large part because I haven't had to finalize her set of gear yet either. So until she hits 6 stars, or maybe even 5 stars, I'm not that interested in finalizing her set of gear. Has to be at least 5 stars because you want to start with the 5 battle strategy. At least 4 battle strategies, if not 5. Right? 4 battle strategies puts you very close to being able to use the Act Again skill that she has. 5 is enough to use Act Again. So that's why for Florentia, I would want to build her up to that. Worth mentioning as well is, even at 5 stars, the Resounding Might does give additional battle strategy as long as you hit 2 enemies with it. So that means you use Resounding Might, then after that you can Act Again an ally. So that's why at 5 stars she is usable, for sure. So she's nearly there for me. If I just go back and take a quick peek, my Florentia is currently, who I'm basically farming 3 shards of every day. Crap, sort by power. I have it sorted wrong, that's why I couldn't find her. Still can't find her. Where is she? There she is. So she's at 52 out of 100. I need 48 more shards of her. So 48 divided by 3 is equal to 16 more days. 2.5 weeks, give or take, and she's going to be 5 stars, and I can start playing around with her in my box instead of Wilder. Right? I mentioned already in the previous video that Wilder's high stakes becomes more and more difficult to use now because everyone has so many AoEs. Right? Especially, let's say, a charging forward Ares can just AoE and wipe out Wilder right away. Stuff like that. So with Wilder being so difficult to use now, replacing him with Florentia is well worth it. And upcoming heroes, right, will be the SP heroes, the heroes who got SP classes. The first of which will be Elwin, right? Elwin is going to get converted into a cavalry class. He is going to be, he's going to have like a skill kind of similar to chivalry, right? So you're going to have Elwin, who has 5 mobility as a cavalry class, plus 3 mobility from his skill when in his SP class, plus using something like Sword Soul to dispel buffs and apply cannot be healed debuff on the enemy. And with that, I believe he also gets 1 revival chance. So he can charge forward, assault, hit them, maybe not die, and maybe if you do use Wilder, you can use tactical retreat to pull him back to safety. Something like that. It could be interesting. I'm not quite sure how Elwin will work out yet. It's another hero that I'm very interested in experimenting with. And you can see my Elwin already has a very, very nice enchant on the Errant Knight, giving 15% attack as well as a 6% hit point boost and another additional 68 hit points. I think it's the other pieces of gear that I would have to re-roll because this Aeolus battle armor has no attack increase, this Fury of Tyr has no attack increase, and this Wind Shin Guard doesn't offer quite enough attack increase yet. So you can just say I have 15 plus 7. That's it, which is 22% out of the maximum 35. Not anywhere close to what I would want. Right? I need 5% here and 5% here, at least, for a 32% attack increase. So, various adjustments to make to this Elwin. In terms of the enchants, it might be I just take gear from someone else. After all, I do have a lot of different sets of gear. But I would have to find one that has a breeze enchant, like this Bloodline Magic Armor or something like that. So, work in progress. More likely, I'm probably going to re-roll for a better enchant on the Aeolus' battle armor, because I think Aeolus is better than Bloodline for your cavalry class heroes. Fury of Tyr, though, I don't think I have any others that give 5% attack right now. Right? For example, Deedlit has an int increasing one. Leon has a 3% attack increasing one. That's better than absolutely nothing, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, overall, there's going to be a bunch of re-rolling of these pieces of gear. Other than Elwin, there will also be Freya getting an SP class. Now, Freya is going to be interesting because in order to use her, it's similar to Ledin. I have to build up one of the new heroes, sorry, not new heroes. I have to build up one of the new soldiers, which is we're going to get access to, and it's a Holy and Demon Training Soldier, tentatively called Punishers. We'll see on Thursday what they're actually called. But the whole reason you have to build up those soldiers is because those soldiers actually inherently offer you 1 revival chance. Meaning Ledin gets a guaranteed revival chance, meaning Freya gets a guaranteed revival chance.
and they're holy soldiers. So that would make both of these tanks much more viable than before, since they can revive. Right? Freya, though, I would have to... My gear set for her would have to change for sure, I think. But for example, the Cloak of Defiance should be replaced with the Lacerates. Crown of Florence is fine. Overlord's Badge would probably get replaced by a Sorcerer's Medal. So in that sense, actually, the Blue Moon gets replaced by an Oath of Justice. Okay. So I would need another Oath of Justice here. So what you can pretty much say is Freya runs the exact same set of gear as Juggler does, if you're to use her. Right? So it would be an Oath of Justice, a Lacerates, your exclusive helmet, and then a Sorcerer's Medal. So another tank that needs Source of Metal, yes. So, but it should be interesting. I want to build Freya up. I'm definitely going to unlock her SP class. And I'm actually going to probably unequip her skin, her swimsuit skin, because I like the way the SP class looks more than her swimsuit skin. So Freya is another character I can build up. I actually realized I'm going to suddenly jump from having just 2 tanks, right, Juggler and Landius, to having potentially 4, because I can throw in Ledin, and I can also throw in Freya. Having multiple tanks, and Ledin and Freya would have revival chances via the Punishers, while Landius would have a revival chance via Indomitable, and Juggler would have no revival chance. So, but it gives me more options, right? Having more tanks just gives you more options. It can counter players who mean to, let's say, Sword Soul down Landius or whatever. And the very last character that I will probably build up for Apex will be Sigma. Sigma, once he unlocks his SP class, he turns into yet another assassin, right? So he's going to be an assassin of the style like Zerda, right? Ignoring enemy soldiers to direct attack the enemy hero and kill them off. So like Zerda, as a result, he is going to want the Crystal Bee Sting, because the Crystal Bee Sting can reduce the enemy's defense by 20%, giving you a higher chance of assassinating. And is there anything else to mention other than that? It could be he uses the Extreme Magic Bow, but once again, I only have 1. It sucks just having 1 Extreme Magic Bow. What I'm noticing is you want at least 2. 3 is nice, 4 is nice, but you want at least 2, and I only have 1. So, and that would give me potentially access to 4 different assassins at that point. Like 4 different viable assassins, that is, with Alustriel, Hiei, Sigma, and Zerda, which could lead to a very efficient and effective assassin box. The only assassin that would be missing would be, let's say Tsubame. I don't consider Omega usable as an assassin anymore, although we saw Omega show up in the finals, so I could be wrong there. Like, Omega could be a backup hero for me to bring for certain matches. Shelinka, we've seen a few people use for assassination. Renata is more of like a counter-attack assassin if you have her built, because applying Dragon Seal will allow her to make it so that the enemies can't be guarded. Right? So there are some assassins that I have not built up. Right? Renata, Tsubame, Shelinka, and in large part that's because I have no way to grind up their shards. Right? So unless RNG somehow gives me multiple copies of them, they're not going to be used. But I would have 4 assassins, which already makes a very viable assassination box in addition to my AoE box. So that kind of reveals my strategy for this upcoming Season 6, doesn't it? Whatever. And those are all the heroes that I really use at this point, right? I covered all the PvE heroes, I covered all the PvP heroes, the Apex 15 box, and now I covered all the side heroes that I'm looking at building up. I mean, there are, of course, the upcoming heroes that will be released on banners, like Rosenseal, like Mariel, like Lolly Jessica, like Hilda. I don't know who I'm gonna get, like who I'm gonna draw for successfully, and who I'm going to build up yet. So I'm not including any of that into this video. Right? Maybe at the end of this Season 6, I'll talk about who I ended up building up and so on in that next video in, 3 or 4 months? Yeah. In any case, that is it for this video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Nitro out.